I think we have to talk about that tweet, don't we? Eoin Ó Broin, Sinn Féin's housing spokesman, undoubtedly frustrated with the government's callous decision to lift the eviction ban, took to Twitter to voice his displeasure, and a single tweet caused an outrage. Or, a faux outrage, depending on what you think of the lifting of the eviction ban. Right, so the tweet itself, here it is. No words needed is the caption, and the image is one made by Instagram artist Adam Doyle, otherwise known as SpiceBag, which is for sale with all profits going to a homeless charity. It meshes the old with the new, a famine-era eviction with the mass Gardaí and the balaclava-wearing security forces from the North Frederick Street eviction in 2018 superimposed on top. Political satire, clearly. A dig at the Gardaí? I think not. But yet, that was the battle cry from the embattled government TDs who saw an opening to be offended and to command and misdirect the news cycle for a few days. As you can probably tell, I am clearly in the "it's political satire, get over yourselves" camp. At first glance, the meaning of this image is quite clear. It holds a mirror up to the government, highlighting the parallels of no-fault evictions between the current lifting of the eviction ban and the famine-era evictions. The Garda role in the image is also clear to me. The state passed the laws and legislation, and the Gardaí are there to enforce those laws. Now, obviously there are 2 points of contention here among those offended few. One is the image itself, which many claim paints the Gardaí in a poor light. The other is that Eoin Ó Broin tweeted it, and therefore he must hate on Garda Síochána. Both are ridiculous in my honest opinion. As I said, the Gardaí are there to enforce the law. They are the arm of the state that deals with law and order. Laws are quite often political in nature. If a law was deeply unpopular with the electorate, well, laws can be changed to better suit the majority, as we have seen in the past. So to say the Gardaí are apolitical, well, it just doesn't ring true, does it? The Gardaí in this image show the realities of evictions. Evictions, including no-fault evictions, are legal and fully above board because of this government. And if needs be, the Gardaí will get involved. Officially, they will get involved to keep the peace. On Garda Síochána means guardians of the peace after all. But let's be realistic here. If the Gardaí show up during an eviction, they are most certainly not going to take the side of the tenant, even though there is absolutely nothing peaceful or fair about losing your home or facing into homelessness, especially in the case of no-fault evictions. If it were possible to talk to a famine-era evictee, I'd wager that their feelings would exactly mirror those of a current-day evictee. The fear, the hopelessness, the abandonment by the state. Same shit, different era. The Gardaí today will enforce the laws around evictions that ultimately keep the wealthy wealthy. They cannot escape that fact. So enough with the faux outrage of the poor Gardaí. And that leads me nicely on to the second point of contention, which is Eoin Ó Broin and his tweeting of this picture. If you look at the picture as it's meant to be taken, which isn't hard to see if you're not looking to be offended, then it's just as its artist says, that, quote, "you'd have to be a moron to think it was a dig at the Gardaí when it's very obviously a critique of the evictions." So why then the pile-on of Eoin Ó Broin? Well, because apparently moaning about Sinn Féin is about the only thing the government can do well. I don't buy for 1 second that any government TD legitimately thought that this was a swipe at the Gardaí. It was Sinn Féin's housing spokesperson who tweeted it. It's clearly taking a pop at government policy. We then had ridiculous rhetoric that the Gardaí must be respected, and that this tweet and image show a complete disrespect for the Gardaí. Willful ignorance, if you ask me, but let's pretend for a moment that they have a point. Since when do we as a society just blindly hand out respect for certain societal groupings? That hasn't exactly gone well in the past. Respect is earned, not given. On Garda Síochána are not above reproach. In fact, we have seen plenty of examples in recent times of questionable practices from the Gardaí that would not engender respect among ordinary right-minded citizens. We've seen how they treat whistleblowers. We've seen them get involved in industrial disputes where they have no place. We've seen them turn a blind eye to clear law breaking in order to facilitate an eviction. And we've seen them drop 999 calls, most notably in cases of domestic abuse or sexual assault. Now tell me again why I should blindly respect the Gardaí. And the thing is, like most ordinary people, I do respect the ordinary members of Garda Síochána because I do respect the law of the land. But that doesn't mean I can't see the inherent issues with Gardaí being involved with evictions and the clear message it sends. And it doesn't mean they are above or exempt from satire, no matter how much Fionnan Sheehan, editor of the Irish Independent, would like that to be true. I just had to mention him, didn't I? Honestly, if you haven't seen his appearance on The Tonight Show on Virgin Media TV, you really should check it out. Pure car crash TV, where a journalist just loses their mind over satire. I'll link it in the description below. Ultimately though, what you think about the Gardaí is irrelevant in this issue. The artwork was never about An Garda Síochána. It was always about the disgusting government vote that has allowed landlords to cash out at the top of the market while legally making their tenants homeless. It was always about the fact that the government have done nothing to stop evictions into homelessness from happening. It was always about the government. But then, we all knew that from the start, didn't we? So if you're looking at this image or Eoin Ó Broin's tweet and are more annoyed that the Gardaí are in it than what's actually happening in the image, then you seriously need to rethink your values. People, young and old, with and without families, are being evicted and will be evicted in the coming months with nowhere to go. There are no supports in place and emergency accommodation is full and at breaking point. Where do they go? The nation is still waiting on the answer to that question. Where do they go? But this little sideshow over the tweeting of a piece of artwork that shows up the government and their heartless policies has given the government something else to focus on, something else to waffle about instead of addressing the real and genuine concerns of this country. This whole debacle was never about offence. It was always about changing the talking points to avoid the hard question that they still can't answer. Where do they go? Thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon and get sharing if you like the content. You can also follow me on Twitter for real-time reactions and ramblings. Until next time, slán go fóill.